Hey there, folks. Jason here again, and I got a something I'm pretty excited about. My first Bad Dad Batrep, and in this case, it's going to be playing Star Wars X-Wing, the miniatures game, with my son Anderson. And if you haven't watched my ramble on this, it's earlier in the playlist, or hopefully will be out earlier in the playlist. But this is kind of my entree into getting Andy, my 7 going on 8-year-old, involved in the wargaming hobby. And so I'm really excited about this. So this afternoon, we got chores done, and I wanted to get him into it, and it went really well. So without further ado, I'm going to walk through kind of a pseudo Batrep. I'll have some thoughts to offer on the at the end. And I'm feeling my way on how to best kind of present the Batrep. Obviously, we are playing with the quick start rules. If you've seen the starter set, which incidentally is very good, quick start rules remove a lot of the difficulties. I'm going to keep playing with these rules with him for a while. It doesn't use the stress tokens, the focus, the range system. It's kind of, if the range stick that you have touches at all, you hit and kind of ease him into it. So let's take a look at the board. So there's my son Anderson, looking very excited. And so what I did here, if you look at some of my older Warhammer Batreps, I just set up a 4x4 table. We'll call it an we're flying over a giant moon or an asteroid in space. So I think it looks pretty good, and it's the closest thing I have to a something that looks like a starfield or a space scene. And if you haven't played X-Wing before, I don't want to be dismissive, but there's plenty of places online to look. But essentially, in the starter set, you just kind of start on opposite sides of the board. And I thought this was fine because it gave him a chance to see how the movement worked. We had a couple fits and starts. And we'll see that as we go. So if you look over on the right hand side, you'll see that what you do is, and there's the little round things down on the TIE fighter side. I played the 2 TIE fighters. I played 2 Academy pilots, so basically the lowest of the low pilots, and Andy was Red Squadron pilot, which made him a little bit better. Ultimately, it didn't matter that much because we didn't use any special abilities in this first one. Yeah, so it gave him the opportunity. He felt like he was a little bit better too. So just against 2 kind of piddly TIE fighters. But the way this game works is each player selects a maneuver secretly beforehand, and then you flip over in the order where the worst pilots go first, and then the more advanced pilots go. There's a rating system, and then when you get to the firing phase, the most experienced pilots fire first. So this reflects kind of better pilots will react, have more time to react, and will shoot first than lower ones. So I was the 2 TIE fighters that came in the box. He was the X-Wing on the far side. And then you can see the range marker there, that long red stick. That's how much range we have. So let's go on to movement. And so for the first one, and I'm just going to use these red dashed arrows to kind of basically tell maneuvers. I admit that I did miss pictures here a couple of different times. I will fill that in as much as I can. So I went forward as much as I can. TIE fighters don't have shields, but don't have the weapons, but they're much more agile than the X-Wing, so they can move forward faster. Andy kind of got confused a little bit, I think, and just did the smallest movement he could. But we got past that, so that's fine. And obviously we are well out of range. You can see the red stick up there on the right. Nothing was happening this turn. We went on to the next one, and I missed a picture here. So what happened in an intervening move is that what I wanted to do was kind of present him with a decision that he would have to make. So I split my TIE fighters and had one bank to the right and one bank to the left, and we were still out of range. And then this turn, I banked them both in. I made him commit to one or the other. And the green lines, unsurprisingly, are going to be the shooting that we did, and in this case, we both missed. Just the rolling didn't go that well at all. So, no first blood, no scratched paint yet. And so from here, he decided to go right. I did a hard right turn, and I just kind of continued with the other TIE fighter going straight. And just because it's going to get a little confusing here, because we're playing with the introductory rules, as I mentioned earlier, there are no stress tokens. So anybody can make any maneuver in the regular game, which I'll introduce to him later. There's certain maneuvers that if you make a stress token, or a stressful move, you can't do anything else. You can't shoot. You're just so exhausted or concentrating so much on the maneuver itself that you can't act the rest of the turn. Unless you're a special character, and maybe there's one out there that can. But in this case, any maneuver is possible. So he decided to kind of do... and my arrows, no, I can't figure out how to make my arrows match the turns. But that's essentially, he kind of dog-legged a little bit and kept going straight. Again, we're still both getting the hang of the maneuvering. And he's, I keep encouraging him, and you got to think ahead. Where am I going to be, not where am I now? And he gets a lot better at this as the game goes on. So, I missed another one here. And I forget what happened, but he was able to barely get his X-Wing, the firing arc, against one of my Academy pilots, and he got rolled really well, and he got 2 hits through. Now, TIE fighters have 3 hull points. You can see there, the 3, the yellow number on the right, that's the hull points you have, and they have 0 shields. So 3 hits on my TIE fighter, and it's dead. This guy's already got 2. The other one is undamaged. X-Wings have 3 hull points and 2 shields, so you have to hit them 5 times before they die. However, the engagement ended up happening, though. I think we both took shots at each other, and this is me attacking. And if you look at the top, if you get anything that looks like the asterisk, the critical or not, there also isn't critical hits in the intro rules. There's a dodge symbol on the bottom you have to cancel out. The critical hit or the critical hit with dodges for defense, he didn't cancel it, so he lost one of his 2 shields. You can see the shield tokens there. So whatever happened in that intervening step, this is kind of what he did. I think he just kept making a left turn, and somehow it happened where he has now let me get on his tail. And I think part of it was on the right-hand side of the slide here, he was heading toward the board edge, and he didn't really act that aggressively. I kept kind of encouraging him, like, forget about the roll. They've got a funny name for it in the game. But essentially, you can do you can invert yourself and fly back the other direction. It's a stressful move, but it doesn't matter. So this is kind of me encouraging him, and he wasn't getting frustrated at all, quite yet, nor does he really in the game. This game, at least. So I'm on his tail. So let's see what happens here. Oh, I hit the shooting. Bummer. So I take a shot at him, and you can see the red, and he doesn't block it with the shields or the defense. So he loses his other shield. So now he just is down to 3 of his hull points. He kind of takes a very lazy maneuver here to the left, and I'm kind of encouraging him, but I don't want to be that dad that's, forcing him to do something. And I'm also struggling at this point with, do I kind of just let him go and not shoot? This is one of those things where having to strike the balance between dropping the hammer on it too much or not. You don't want to let the kid win, but you don't want to crush his spirit either. So I kept telling him, like, Andy, you got to be aggressive here. You got to get out of the way. And he didn't. And so I ended up taking 2 shots, and then the dice were such that two more hits went through. You can see here I rolled really well. So you can see the 2 red dice are the attack dice. There's 2 of the hits, and he dodged 1. The squiggly line there is the dodge, or some other term in this particular game. So 1, he got the card there. He's down to 2 hull points. And then I rolled again, and you can see he didn't block it with the green dice, and so he's got 2. So he's almost dead. So the way it stands right now is one of my TIE fighters has been hit twice. It has 1 hull point left. The other TIE fighter is up at full strength. And then his X-Wing has been hit 4 times. So 1 more time, it's hit. So I'm really praying at this point that I don't knock him out immediately. So what happens, he makes an aggressive move here, and so do I. There was a bit of funny business where he would have ended his turn kind of right on top of my base. I let him have it, and then this is the next move. So the TIE fighter with the 1 wound left, 1 hull point left, is the one on the right. So you can see it's got the exclamation point on there. So I told him he would know which one was heavily damaged. So here we end up, and he takes a pot shot at the TIE fighter, and it's 3 attack dice versus 3 defense dice, and he gets it through. So I now have 2 damaged TIE fighters, 1 with 1 hit, 1 with 2 hits. So that's good. He's blooded. He has blooded both of them. And here he breaks right, and the TIE fighters are coming around. I do kind of a lazy turn to try to kind of let him get out of the way. The lazy right on the bottom part. And again, I'm encouraging him here, and he's getting it. He is, which makes me happy. Like, Andy, you got to be aggressive. And obviously nobody is in firing arc here, so nothing really happens. And this is the last turn of the game. So the next time around, you can see the loop. He does a loop, and he comes back around the opposite direction. Both of my TIE fighters turn in, so it's going to be the showdown. He's got... So the TIE fighter on the bottom is the one with... I think maybe I did this wrong. So technically the TIE fighter at the top is the one he shot at. You can barely see the exclamation point on its base. And so his shot should be going up to that one. He hits it, and then spoiler alert, the one at the bottom, he hits the one on the top and kills it. So he's killed 1, so I feel good. He's at least killed 1 so far. It's not like it's going to be a complete wipeout. But then the TIE fighter on the bottom takes a shot at him. Remember, he has 1 hull point, hits him, and knocks him out. So we agreed that whoever would win gets their picture taken looking sad. Oh, so here was his roll to hit the TIE pilot, and so he rolled 3 hits. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to beat that. I would have to roll 3 dodges, and it did happen. And this is my rollback, and you can see I rolled pretty well. TIE fighters only get 2 attack dice, and he gets 2 defense dice. He might not have been too pleased about that. He was a little embarrassed. It was fine. So that's him. No, he ejected in time though. But like I was saying, we decided that whoever lost gets their picture taken, put up looking sad and dead or whatever. And so he decided to go with this in the chair. So he did have a lot of fun, but it was an Imperial victory. All hail the Emperor. So what are my thoughts on this game? The game itself is great. It is. I knew I'd heard a lot that it was easy to pick up. It is. And the starter set rules are simple enough that a 7-year-old can play it. And I think he's starting to understand it. He's got a quick grasp of the maneuvers. The way they set it up is pretty simple. They don't throw a lot at you at the beginning, which is what I was concerned with a lot of war games is it's a steep learning curve. There is not a steep learning curve with this one. And I knew that I was kind of excited. You have to be a little touchy because it is a... it's based on particular positioning and movement, and there's set templates for moving that I couldn't let him do what his natural inclination was to pick up the models and make all kinds of noises and fly around the room with them, or just pick them on the table and put it someplace else. I said, Andy, you got to kind of follow the rules here, which it may be kind of a buzzkill, but it kind of lays that foundation for wargaming. So he had a lot of fun. I was kind of feeling him out because I don't want to throw too much at him. Some of the war games haven't gone very well. Again, go back and listen to my ramble. So I think he's excited to play this one. I left the board out, so he might get another game in tomorrow, and he might let him play the TIE Fighters, and I'll be the X-Wing. So I'm trying to calibrate like how much for the throat do I go in these games. So he enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It's a game I would like to get into because, frankly, I've got enough, as you can see, enough other painting projects out there that I could pop these out of the box, and they are actually well painted. It's not like the Star Trek ones. These models, I could improve on them, but not a whole lot, unless I really want to spend a lot of time, and I don't. I just want to be able to open a box and play with my son. So it was nice having terrain that was at least approaching spacey-looking stuff. I think that got him more into it, too. I'm going to look to maybe introduce a couple scenarios, ease him into it. If he gets excited about something, does well in school. Maybe we'll pick up a different model. We'll see if he likes the Imperials or the X-Wing more. He likes the X-Wing. Of course, I think maybe next time I'll let him play Luke Skywalker, who has a better defensive ability to build in a little bit more. I want him to win, in other words. So, hope you guys enjoyed the battle report. I hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit about my journey into, getting my son hooked in the hobby. And I'd welcome your thoughts on the game. Obviously, there probably are things we did wrong, but there's also the intro rules, so it's a little hard to goof those things up. We're going to move on in the future to a little bit more advanced games. I just welcome your thoughts or suggestions on X-Wing. Have you had any experience teaching kids to play this one? My assessment after one game, which isn't really enough to make a strong judgment, is that this is perfect for kids. So if you're out there and you're trying to get your son or daughter involved in wargaming, I think X-Wing is a great place to start. So you guys have a great weekend, and keep on wargaming.